in the last 5 years, you've seen the ramping up of unconventional gas production as the technology's got to a point where it can be commercially applied and you can seriously make money out of unconventional gas. That's partly to do with rising gas prices, it's partly to do with increasingly effective technology at lower prices.
First of all, we have to make sure that the technologies are sufficiently developed to conditions in Europe. And the conditions are different. There are big areas of the US where you can place wells close to each other on a dense basis, whereas I would agree that in Poland and other countries there may be similar conditions, but not quite as perhaps favorable in environmental terms, at least in terms of the impact on the visual impact on the environment and the impact on communities.
The interesting thing is that we will know how big are the sources of shale gas in Poland in the future, but already this debate and hopes are shaping our politics of today. For example, Poland was negotiating with the Gazprom the agreement on the supply of gas for the next 20-30 years. And in the middle of these negotiations, of course, opposition parties started to say, why are you signing an agreement with Russia for next 20 or 30 years on such a high price if we have probably our own internal gas supplies? So this is once again became a debate. So we see how the hopes for future are shaping today's policies, because this the signing of the Gazprom agreement has been stopped, or there are some unknown question marks going around it.
What we know from the US is that shale gas exploration, although based on a carbon footprint, it's comparably similar to conventional natural gas. In that respect, it may help to replace coal, that's fine. But we have other environmental penalties which are heavy. It's a water penalty. Freshwater consumption is huge. You can only afford that where you have sufficient freshwater resources. Go with that one to China and India and you'll be dead on arrival. It's not possible with that kind of water consumption. Second, there are quite aggressive composite mixes of chemicals required, where I doubt they would be consistent and in compliance with EU legislation on environmental safeguards. I have my doubts. Certainly, shale gas is different from conventional gas as what we know so far. There's some research on the way. It's quite land intensive. It's not just drilling a hole somewhere and having a big balloon, which where you then take the gas out. It's flat on the ground to some extent, where you need lots of land.
I agree there is, in the energy balance in the market as a whole, necessarily a strong link between gas and oil. But there is not an automatic link of one price to the price of gas. There is gas-to-gas competition globally and in Europe now. And by the way, that's happened because of the development of LNG. So there is a small prospect that this could develop in a way which makes it cost-effective, makes it environmentally friendly, and makes it therefore attractive to use it from security of supply reasons. But that's a lot of questions to ask, and we have to be very cautious about it. All I would say that at the moment we're very skeptical about the idea of any public money going into it.
The bigger point, though, is this issue of should we be doing this at all? And I think there is a question here. If all of the hopes are correct and there's huge amounts of gas, we kind of have an existential problem. Because if we have large amounts of gas, and it's all very cheap, then you can see the natural human instinct to say, well, isn't this wonderful? We've got all of this cheap, unconventional gas. Aren't we fine? And I think there is a dangerous seduction if it turns out there's huge amounts of gas. And I think there are two answers to that question. I think one of them is that if there is this level of scale of resource available, then one question, first of all, is there is an immediate CO2 advantage in terms of a switch from coal to gas, because you can then get a significant cut in CO2 emissions. And I think if it turns out there is so much gas, that's something we should seriously think about.
You said correctly so that let's look at natural gas as a potential bridge to replace coal. Well, in principle, I would agree with you. The point is, I have seen too many bridges to be put into place in the system. Everything these days is a bridge. A little bit of extension of nuclear, a little bit of CCS here and there, a little bit of unconventional oil, a little bit of unconventional fuel, etc. It just doesn't work. In the end, the bridges itself become the supply of the future, and out of the window goes your climate target.